Hello again, my neurodiverse friends and people who are looking to understand neurodiversity, particularly the areas of neurodiversity that are labelled autistic spectrum disorder or whatever at this point in time. This I am intending to make a short, hopefully less than 5 minute video, talking about two things: the way that language shapes reality and how this is relevant and important to neuroqueering and neuroqueer, verb and noun. Okay, so neuroqueering is something you do and neuroqueer is something you are if you choose to identify as that. I will not go into great detail. I will simply put a link to a great website as a place to begin the journey of understanding. But at the beginning of this, if I explain how I came to be neuroqueer, even without realising it until I came across the term, because neuroqueering, okay, very simply, as a verb, it's about challenging orthodoxy. It's about saying, nah, you don't get to define who I am. We might have this current label which brings this particular set of constructs together and defines them as autism or whatever, but that doesn't mean they are objectively true. It's all about working constructs. So in my early 20s I read two very important and influential works. One was by Andrea Dworkins in the book Pornography, and it was called On the Power of Naming or The Power of Naming. And Dworkins expressed or pursued the hypothesis that she put forward, that when we name something, we're not actually describing it, we're defining it. And what's meant by that, and what I've come to understand that to mean, is that when you label something, you're not merely describing something in a kind of static, intransient sense. You're giving it an identity which is inextricably connected with everything that is in any way, however major or slight, however direct or tangential. You are defining, you are making that thing, you are manifesting it as what it is according to the label, because of the way that the word or words are understood culturally, societally. It's wonderfully mind-blowing stuff, and I don't know whether I'm confusing you or helping you. I just really wanted to say something about this whole kind of neuroqueer concept, which isn't necessarily about sexuality at all, although people who are quote unquote on the autism spectrum, there's the intersection between people who are experiencing gender identity dysphoria or gender dysphoria. There's a significant intersect there. I haven't even begun to really look into that, not really my territory. It could be deeply patronising, insulting, even prejudicial, discriminatory if I started talking about that without really knowing what I'm talking about, so I'm not going to. But the word queer in neuroqueer is about the same thing. It's about reclaiming the power of naming, the power of defining, the power of self, individual identity, self-concept, group identity. It's a way of saying, actually, no, you don't have authority over me just because at this moment you have the power of naming, because you are psychiatry and you think you're gods. It's not about that. Well, it kind of is. It's just about saying, nah, I'm here as an individual and I'm pretty switched on and I know what's going on in my reality, and all attempts to try and communicate that 100% to you are completely flawed. It will never happen. You'll only ever get a third, a half of the understanding of who I am at best. It's more like 10-20%. And jump on the bits that you think you can understand best and disregard the rest. And neuroqueering is part of what neuroqueering is. Involves both challenging those orthodoxies and just declaring, nah, you don't get to tell me who I am. We'll work towards some properly calibrated understanding of the objective reality, but at this point in time, it's too early in the burgeoning awareness of neurodiversity and how multifaceted it is. It's too early for any kind of labels to properly and clearly instruct the world in the understanding of this, and psychiatry in particular doesn't like to let go of that power. Psychiatry is really not good with lack of clarity, and it's like going back to, as my great professor Bob Locke once said, that, oh, it's said many times because it's an accurate place, that is an accurate thing to say, the dark days of behaviourism, where the likes of B.F. Skinner were convinced that you can't understand those processes that cannot be quantified, but which are taking place in the mind, but we can't study them, we can't reach any kind of understanding of the inherent core truth of what's going on there, so we'll pretend it's not there. And that's what psychiatry does. Neuroqueering is saying, actually, it is there. Just because we can't understand it yet doesn't mean we can pretend it's not real, because it is real. You don't have the power to define me. That's neuroqueering, and that's why I'm a champion of the neuroqueer movement. The other work that I read, which is really powerful, we're just over 8 minutes, so I'll wrap this up before it hits 10. Book by Aldous Huxley, called Means and Ends. Means and Ends. And it's a long essay, or it might be a collection of essays. I read it a long time ago, but it influenced me. I just grasped it really quickly, so I didn't read all of it. I just got the point. That this saying we have in English, in Western society, that the means justifies the ends, or the end justifies the means. Sorry, the end justifies the means. It's a lie, because the means determines the end. The road that you take to arrive at your destination determines how you will experience your ultimate destination. And we've just hit 9 minutes. I will try to get this into 1 minute. The way that I explain this, and I have explained it over the years, is that imagine 3 of us are going to Machu Picchu. One of us takes a bus half the way and then just hikes for a day. One of us hikes for 4 full days, and one of us just goes by helicopter. We'll all still be at Machu Picchu, and I imagine, I've not been, I would like to, I nearly did, but hey, hi Paddy, hi Claire. But the journey we've taken will have shaped how we perceive it when we get there. So Machu Picchu objectively is one thing, but every individual will experience it differently, and that's determined by how they got there. And that's where we're at, and that's the complexities of our lives, and it's moribund. It's throughout the whole of our existence. Every aspect of our reality, in every nanosecond of our lives, is determined, shaped, framed by language. That's the nature of what it is to be human in 2020 and going forward. And it's a mess. And there are people who claim that this whole naming and labelling thing is objective, and it's not. That is might be a bit of a clumsy, clunky introduction to the notion of neuroqueering. I'm going to set up a separate channel. I'm aware that I'm coming up 11 minutes. I'm going to set up a separate channel, but under the umbrella of the Autistic auteur, which is proper serious stuff. And for the moment, I'll put this in Adventures in Autism Awareness, but then I'll create a proper channel, and it will be serious stuff like this. I'm going to end it there because I've taken up enough of your time. But I hope this has made some sense. I will link in the comments to the site Neurocosmopolitanism, and let you begin exploring it all from there. And I will leave it there. I am Jason, the Autistic auteur. Thank you for watching.